Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes to renting versus selling and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995. Studio A.
Hi, and welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. So every week we talk about something that helps you make some money or save some money some way, somehow. It doesn't have to be specifically to real estate, but if you are thinking about buying or selling real estate, I'm your girl. You can give me a call. However, today it is a little bit still on the path of real estate, and we're going to talk about certified appraisals. Who needs them? When do you get them? Is it something that you only get when you're getting a mortgage with the bank? Or is it something you would use at other times and places? So, welcome our guest, Danielle Matthews with Empire Appraisals. Welcome, Danielle.
Hello.
How are you? Good. So, Danielle is a certified appraiser. She owns her own company, Empire Appraisals, right? So actually it's a really good word, Empire, because you could actually use that to dispute values, right? And is that why you picked that name? Just curious.
I picked that name because I was running my own empire before I was certified. So when I opened my own business, Empire Appraisals.
Okay, so so a lot of times, you know, most always in people's minds, they think of an appraiser as something that happens in the bank process, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're getting a mortgage, you're going to do an appraisal. If people are paying cash for a property, they don't really need to get an appraisal, but some people choose to get an appraisal. The contract doesn't really say that they're going to get it, but as long as they get it within their inspection period, they can still come back for no reason in their inspection period and say, well, it didn't appraise, I don't want to buy it, and that's okay because they're within that time where it's as is with right to inspect. So some other times that you would be utilized would be divorce,
Yes.
deaths,
Estate planning.
estate planning. So tell me, you know what, estate planning, let's talk about that because that's something that's very interesting. Why would somebody want to get a certified appraisal in estate planning?
Usually if a house is in a trust or an estate of some sort, when someone attached to that trust passes away, they need a valuation as of the date of passing.
Okay.
So a lot of times people don't figure out that they needed that appraisal until they go to file the taxes or close out an estate, and they need a retrospective date of death appraisal. That's for estate purposes. And then if there's more people involved in the estate, it resets the value of the property from the date of death. Say the husband passes away, then the estate gets reset with what the value of the property is for tax purposes. For, say, if the wife passes away and then the kids are going to inherit the property, the taxes would then be based on the difference between the date of passing from the husband to the date of passing of the wife. It resets the tax basis.
So, and maybe this isn't your realm to answer this question, but if somebody inherits, let's simplify this, right? Because we have investment properties and then we have primary residences, and that's going to be two different buckets, right? But if somebody's primary residence, they pass, right? Does it matter the difference between the wife and the husband? Because would that be tax-freed anyway from an inheritance?
I don't understand how it all works as far as that goes, but I do know that I will get a call. I need a date of death. You know, my wife passed away. Sometimes it's 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and whatever they're doing with their accountant, they're resetting the tax base from the time of passing to current for whatever reason.
Okay.
So an appraisal
So that's
is needed.
definitely a really good topic in the future for us all to understand a little bit more about the tax liabilities when it comes to values. So that's definitely something that we definitely need to talk about. So if we do have any accountants listening to our show tonight, and you could call in and help us answer that question, we would really appreciate that. And you can reach us at 888-994-4995. Again, that's 888-994-4995. We would definitely like to know the answer to that question. So, okay, so moving forward, another time that you would do appraisals would be for divorce.
Yes. So usually when it comes to divorce work, it's usually ordered based on the date of divorce filing. And as we all know, if you've been divorced before, that could be 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. And it can make a big difference from the time you go to trial versus the time you filed for divorce. So lately, with the market being the way that it's been over the last 3 years, the attorneys have been ordering a date of divorce filing and then a current valuation. And they work out the divorce financials based on the difference in between, whatever they agree on. But yes, usually the divorce appraisals are typically based on date of filing, and then sometimes they're negotiating with current value, depending on what the time span is.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you before we go to commercial break is I'm gonna ask you to tell me about a time in a divorce, something really interesting, so we can get an idea of like how that's played out in a divorce situation. When we come back from commercial, we're gonna go ahead and see our sponsors, Max Fish, and also Title Brothers. So stay tuned to hear about our sponsors.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At Title Brothers LLC, our mission is to give you the best closing experience anywhere in the country. Founded in 2020 by Adam Lohman and Josh Wiseman, here at Title Brothers, we're your one-stop shop for residential real estate, title insurance, title and escrow services, real estate closing, and due diligence services. While primarily located in South Florida, we also host dozens of closings throughout the state and even electronically as requested. To contact the Title Brothers, call us at 954-995-4988 or visit our website and get a quick quote today.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at thelorasell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi, and welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. So, we're talking about appraisals and why they're important, when we need them, how we use them, when you would need them, and why you should use them. So we have Danielle Matthews here with us. She is the owner of Empire Appraisals. I use Danielle for pre-listing appraisals before we go to market to make sure that my clients are going to net the most money, and also to make sure that we're putting in the right amount of money to make sure we can get the most out of it. But let's step back before we talk about that. We were talking about some really crazy divorce situations when having a divorced couple need an appraisal at the time of divorce. So tell us a little more about that.
Again, at date of divorce filing. So that is typically what sets the basis of the dividing the assets. And then the judges will typically negotiate somewhere in between, depending on how long the divorce takes. Once COVID was going on for 6-8 months and the values were climbing quickly, I was having people getting divorced doing an appraisal like every 2 to 3 months with values jumping $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month. and going back to mediation, and just, it was crazy. I mean, there's one particular house in Deerfield I appraised probably 4 times in a maybe 6-month period of time, and each time it was just jumping huge amounts of money.
And you were looking, second guessing
I
yourself,
was
going,
second guessing everything.
and you're like, I've never seen this. Like even in 2005, you didn't see what was going on, like what had happened recently. So it's a little crazy, yeah. So, so I buy houses and I fix them up, and you know, I know we've talked about as is and repair, appraisals. So does it make sense for somebody to have an appraisal when they're getting ready to flip a house? And at what point does that make sense?
So a lot of the investors that I work with, when they are looking for something to buy and flip, they'll have me come in during the inspection period, even though they're paying cash, and they'll have me do an as-is and an as-repaired valuation.
Okay.
And what that is telling them, what is it worth in the condition that you're buying it in, and what will it be worth once you renovate it? And so with that service, I provide one appraisal, give 2 values, but I also give details about what it is that you need to do to repair it and bring it to current market standards. Should you be renovating it with mica countertops and vinyl floors, or should you be doing, granite and marble, and at what level do you need to renovate to bring it to the highest value to flip it quickly? So that is an as-is, as-repaired, usually brought in under contract, sometimes after they close, if they're confident that they got a great deal, and then use the appraisal, what will it be worth in the future?
Okay. So if somebody wanted to do that, right? Like let's say for instance, and listen realtors if you're listening, because I'm asking and I'm going to see if we can get a little deal for you today. So if I was to call you or one of my realtor friends that are listening to us, and you have to be listening, and if you're hearing this, then you might get a discount. And we call you because we have a client that we want to get them to fix up their home. Curbio has been doing a lot of stuff with fixing up people's homes, and we want to make sure that we're putting the right amount of money in to get them so much more money for doing that, right? Which we do offer some of that ourselves. What would it cost for us to get that? And would you also tell us how many days you think it's going to take us once we've completed the repairs to get the home sold based on market conditions?
Yes, I give you a full detailed market analysis on what they were listed for, what they sold for, how many reductions did the homes need, and how long until they finally contracted. Usually a standard appraisal is $450 for a non-complex assignment. That means not waterfront, not a duplex, not multi-million dollar, 6,000 square feet, but your standard house is $450. If you mention this show, I'll give you $50 off.
Okay. So you'll do it as a discount, and you're always pretty much available to answer questions within reason, obviously. So, so realtors, this is one of the ways for you to help to make more money, is to basically get in with your clients and say, if you spend X dollars, you're going to get this much more. And it's kind of helping you because you're getting an appraisal for the value it is that day. So you're doing a pre-listing appraisal, and you're also asking her, listen, not only is this a pre-listing appraisal for what the value is today, which is helpful in itself, but if you spend X, Y, and Z, you're going to get this much more money so that your house will sell for more money. And I think that that is something that's just unbelievably valuable.
Yes.
How often do you do that?
I do it several times a week.
Really?
That is my main focus is pre-listing, divorce, and estate.
But how much would the repair one? Like, I know you do pre-listing ones, but how many people like really know about this? Like, they really think about it. They ask these questions.
Well, sometimes people think about it when it's too late. They're already halfway through the renovation process, and then they say, oh, well, what's it going to be worth when I'm done?
Right.
And only to find out either they over-improved or they under-improved. But also, one of the great things about doing an appraisal in advance is if you're in a neighborhood that predominantly gets FHA financing, a lot of realtors don't understand all the things that are required for a home to pass an FHA appraisal.
You're correct.
And so I come in and I get to be the reality check for the sellers and give them all the bad news about their peeling
paint.
flaking paint. That's
Their
number one.
wood that's rotted.
Yep, the wood rot, all the yucky things that the realtor doesn't want to tell them. This is what you need to fix. If you're waiting until the bank appraiser comes in, you have a very short window to fix those things. Or even know if you want an FHA buyer. Sometimes you're 2-3 weeks into the contract only to find out, no way is this house going to pass FHA, and you just wasted everybody's time.
So little trick, everybody, just so you know. If you have, because a lot of times I go into appointments and there's a water stain on the ceiling. It's not leaking. It's an old stain from a long time. You tell me if I'm wrong.
You're correct.
It's an old stain from like 2 years ago before you put a new roof on. The appraiser is going to come out and say, is this leaking? I need you to get a roofer to come out here and provide me documentation that this is not leaking. So now you're going to spend another couple of $100. Oh, and by the way, the appraiser has to come back out again. And what are you guys charging for a re-inspection after you have to come back out again?
If it's through a lender, you
Yeah.
could pay $300 to $400 for that re-inspect.
Oh
and
my gosh.
usually you need them out there in a day or two, and
That's a rush fee.
that could cost you even more. So it's far more economical to pay for the appraisal in advance, spend that little bit of money to find out all the little things that you need to do, and make sure that you're pricing it correctly.
Right. So the pricing correctly, I totally get. Those little things, you just need to hire the right realtor sometimes,
Yep.
who's not afraid to tell you. I'm not afraid to tell you, but of course some people get a little hurt, and I'm not there to hurt you. I'm there to help you, to tell you why you want to do these things to fix it. So, so what other times would be a good time to utilize you? A lot of times. There's a lot of different things that you do, right?
Yes.
And a lot of things that you help people with. So how often, like what happens when it doesn't appraise?
So either the contract gets renegotiated, or you have a very small window where you can send the appraiser some comparables to consider to potentially raise the value. Now the chances of that happening are
You're not going to call.
very
The only
slim.
time you're going to call is, and people have a very bad taste in their mouth from 40 years ago, not recent. VA appraisal has a very bad, VA mortgages have a very bad name. Guys, get it out of your brain. There's nothing wrong with VA. It's great. Let me tell you why it's great. She's going to tell you why it's great. What happens when a VA property is not going to appraise?
The appraiser has to call both realtors and let them know.
It's called Tidewater.
Tidewater, they invoke Tidewater, giving the agents the opportunity to provide comparables that maybe the appraiser missed prior to submitting the report.
Yeah, and there's some other really cool changes. Actually, I was talking with an attorney this morning, and we were talking about how you don't have to stay within that confined 1 mile radius anymore, but you do have to be cognizant of things that would be effective, like schools, ratings on schools. School, you know, whether the caliber of school is A rated, B rated, C rated. So,
Question for you. What if you're selling your house and you're just picking a number because you think it's going to sell for that?
you're wasting
Because,
a lot of time.
because the comps are that or higher,
Uh-huh.
but you can't sell it for the amount because people don't think it's of that value. Would that be something to call you in first before you try to sell your house?
Yes. So, and Laura knows this, sometimes the appraisal is not what the homeowner wants to hear.
Right.
It's not the number that they think it is. But with that, then you know, am I looking for somebody willing to pay $10,000, $20,000, 5% over appraisal?
So you got to see if that's there first and take your risk.
Right.
But what I will tell you, and I actually just had this conversation and she heard me talking in several different respects. Number one is you could have two identical homes. They're identical as far as square footage. They're both on the water. They're both, you know, same size, right? But one has a roof from 2001 and one has a roof from 2023. That's going to matter because of the age. What's also going to matter is updates. When was the last time you updated your house? You could have a gorgeous house, you love your house, it looks amazing, but it was updated over 10 years ago, and you have one that just was recently updated within the last 2 years with white kitchen cabinets, tile that looks like wood, you know, updated handles, like nice faucet, amazing light fixtures, and you're both looking the same. And the one that has the beautiful white kitchen also has impact windows. They're gonna get value for their impact windows. They're gonna get value for the kitchen. So you're gonna get two totally different appraisals because you have different characteristics. And you know, I've been hearing, and you tell me if this is true, white cabinets are really getting a lot more, I think it depends on the brown. I think it depends on the color brown. I think if it's like chocolate, right? Like a espresso
Yes.
is going to get value. But if you give me like oak,
So that matters, the color of the cabinet.
it does.
The tile, not just
and
if you
it
put
matters
in
for the
tile.
buyers too.
It matters for the buyers, but it also speaks to just the quality of the updates. So you walk in and you see orange tile and oak cabinets, you know it was probably updated
20 years
15 or
ago.
20
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. Yes.
And so there's brackets, right? We have brackets, so we bracket everything where it's like you have whether or not it's like in good condition, right? It's like, so you kind of give value for that. So I think that a lot of times, like I just had a house that a realtor called me, he's like, well, what did you sell for? And I said, well, it didn't appraise. And he's like, well, I'm selling the one. I said, the one down the street's updated. So right there, you're talking between $30,000 and $50,000 difference in value.
It can be, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and I know you say that always depends on like what's going on in the neighborhood, how many other people have updated, so what that looks like in the difference. You know, I just had a situation where somebody let their realtor go because the realtor, I have text messages that she forwarded me from the realtor telling her house was worth about $550, and I was like, that's not true. And you know, little information. I think that people definitely, I think you need to be going out to some of these realtors' office and showing people like this and doing some planning. And oh my God, we're running out of time, which now I feel like I'm really getting into this now. But the planning of knowing like how to come up with the value is a big deal. So tell us a good way, because we're running out of time, tell us a good way to get a hold of you. 'Cause
Email,
you've got the answers.
phone number, 954-263-1312. Appraiser Danny is my Instagram. That'll link you to my website, to my Facebook,
And her cool purple car.
and my cool purple car.
Yes. So, and if you're looking for a top agent that knows how to guide you into where to get the most money for your home or how to remodel your home for the most money, give me a call, Laura Sanders, Remax Direct, 954-650-0827. Can't wait to see you next week so we can give you more tips on how to make money. Maybe.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you next week.